Today, ladies and gentlemen, today here on Hwange Chronicles, your host, Ambassador Marco, will be hosting the director and founder of Hopeville Zimbabwe, Miss Ruth Bikwa. Good afternoon, Miss Ruth Bikwa. How are you?
Fine, how are you? Thank you for your time and for the invite.
Oh, thank you. Welcome to Hwange Chronicles. May you please tell our audience what is Hopeville Zimbabwe? Tell us more about Hopeville Zimbabwe.
Hopeville Zimbabwe is a child-focused organization, community-based in Hwange. It is registered in Hwange, headquartered in Hwange. If we are going to have any other any other branches, they will be coming from Hwange to other parts of Zimbabwe. We work mainly with children. The children, the children are those below 18, and we also work with youth between 16 and 35, and we also work with women. Well, we are mainly children, but we are working with these other groups because we know that the cycle of support for the child usually is the woman. That's why we have got the women. And then some of our children that we are working with are also youth as well, because from 16 they're still below 18, so we work with those mainly on protection issues, because we see it's one of the pillars that forms a foundation for someone's future. Like if a child is abused today, the way that child relates with other people in the future is affected by how that child has been brought up. So we work on making sure that children are protected from any form of abuse, name it.
Wow, that's great. As Hwange, we are blessed. And it's headquartered in Hwange, and it was found in Hwange. If it's going to branch out, it's going from Hwange. So as Hwange, we are very, very, very rich in resources. My second question, Miss Ruth Bikwa, is what motivated you to do all this work? What motivated you? Tell us your motivation so that we know where this came from.
I think I've always had a passion for working with children. And I also noted that children just love me. Even a pregnant mother would actually say, my baby is kicking. The moment I saw you, my baby is kicking. Wow. As I was growing up, a lot of those scenarios were happening. And I also noted that pregnant women liked me a lot. Wow. To the extent that some people would really want porridge prepared by me, wow. From relatives and what have you. Yes. But I found myself as I was growing, thinking a lot about what children are going through, defending children, even at school, where I would just say like, no, why should this child be beaten because she's down? Yes. It's the role of the teacher to teach this child instead of beating. I would have all those things. And as time went on, I became a teacher by, I don't know whether I can call it by default or whatever, but I eventually found myself being a teacher. I didn't quite like it, but I then found a lot of motivation to work with children, just to help them through their education. I studied theater and theater arts and geography, and I spent most of the time using theater to raise funds even for underprivileged children. In 1987, I was on teaching practice, and I hosted a function at Luveve Bait Hall. I don't know whether you know in Bulawayo. Yes. We raised funds for children whose fees had not been paid. Wow. I was just a student teacher there, and we used other children to raise funds for those children who had not paid their fees. And that passion continued to grow and grow. Eventually, I then, just to cut the long story short, when I became a teacher, after 16 years, I started joining in community initiatives that were working with children. And one of the community initiatives that I joined was Girl Child Network. It was in its formative stage. And when I joined Girl Child Network, that's when my potential for working with children was released. When I saw those children who were abused, those children who didn't have, enough provisions, yes. I just fall in love with it, and I worked with Girl Child Network for 7 years, and then sideline, because Girl Child Network was working mainly with girls. Yes. I thought all children are vulnerable, and that's how Hopeville Zimbabwe was formed. We work with both boys and girls.
Wow, that's great. That's great. It's such a lovely time neexperience yachona futhi kuitira kuti ndikunzwawo kuti nana 19 chiya haina ndichiri mudumbu.
But you were the one who was kicking for me when
I
I
was
passed.
kicking pamaidarika mama. And this is such a great initiative, mama. I want to know, Kutonizo, what are the strategies that you're using to identify my sponsors? My sponsors, what are your strategies that you're using to get funds, these funds?
I want to say from the beginning that the major funder is self-funded.
Okay.
I do whatever I do and get whatever I get and inject into helping children, because I've seen that fundraising on its own is such a huge task, and I think it's something that I've always been thinking I can outsource so that at least I can be helping directly, working with the children, with the other people, while someone is looking for resources. But our strategy is mainly centered around proposal development, and we also approach companies and other organizations, especially the business community, just to sell some of the activities that we are doing that needs funding. Okay. No funding is too large or too small for us.
Wow.
Like, for example, if OK today says, okay, we are going to give you refreshments so that you can do an awareness campaign against drug abuse. We don't say we want the dollar sign. We want to we just get those drinks. We plan our program around that. So our strategy is no funding is too small or too big for us, or is useless. We can't say you've given us pads. We don't want pads, we want the money. Those pads will find a way of making sure they reach our beneficiaries.
Wow, that's great, Mama. And it's very good that you appreciate every small amount. Even you viewers, if you want to sponsor something, you can bring something to Mama, Miss Ruth Bikwa. Will share your contact details so that you can reach out also in helping someone who is less privileged. You can help fight against drug abuse here in Hwange. My next question, Mama, is how do you build and maintain relationships with sponsors? You also talked about, you gave an example of OK giving you drinks and all that. How then do you maintain that relationship with OK so that he keeps on giving you refreshments, or rather next time he will give you even more? How are you planning to do so, or how do you do so as of now?
Okay, thank you. I think with people who have gone out of their way to help us or to sponsor our activities, we want to make sure that we keep them informed of how their donation has helped in our activities. So we do activity reports, submit to them. Wow. We roll out and show our financial, how we've used the funds.
Yes.
And even some other needs that we have, we usually put them tactfully at the end so that they know they've got this other program and whatever. Wow. So that they're really kept, they know everything about what we are doing. Yes. And they are able to choose to say, maybe we can fund this initiative. Instead of us limiting them and just telling them that you gave us hundreds liters of juice and we did this program and we end there. We actually tell them, whilst we thank them for the donation, we also tell them about the other, it's that's a strategy as well, so that at least they will say, okay, we've got this, we want to do our corporate social responsibility and donate something. And they say, okay, Hopeville Zimbabwe wants to do a skills training for young mothers. Yes. Then they are able to inject something to us. But we always want to be as transparent as possible. We want to report and tell how the public funds have been used at all times.
One thing that I like, and one thing that is going to make me one of your sponsors, is the issue of transparency. One thing that people like is knowing what the money is being used, what their money is being used, what their resources are being used, and all that. And that is one thing that Hopeville is very much good at, as you are explaining, Mama. And this leads to my next question. How do you communicate the impact and benefits of sponsoring less privileged children to potential sponsors? How are you communicating with sponsors? The impact of dominating, what are the benefits and all that? Are they seeing any results and all that?
When we are fundraising for these children, especially if we are targeting a particular group of children, what we do is we make sure we sell the talent or the skill that the child has, the benefits of funding him that we get in the near future after funding. Like, for example, I'm giving an example of maybe a child who is talented in singing.